In this video, we're going to look at some harder counting puzzles where you can't just use your permutation and combination formulas, but instead we need to take some systematic approaches. We're going to look at two questions in this video. Have a look at this one. I have 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. How many ways can I arrange these cards to make odd numbers between 10,000 and 40,000? There's a lot of information to take in here, but the important part is that there are odd numbers and that it's between 10,000 and 40,000. So we need to arrange these 5 cards such that they're odd and they're between these two numbers. So this gives us some restrictions. For example, the first number could only start with a 1, 2 or 3, because if it started with a 4 or a 5, it would be greater than 40,000. The other thing that we need to know is that because it's odd, it has to end in a 1, 3 or 5. So instead of just doing permutations, some random ones aren't allowed. So we need to look at a more systematic way of finding out all the different combinations we can have. So what we need to do is I'm going to write a list of what the first and last numbers could be. And we're going to do this by starting with the very smallest it could be and working our way up. Let me show you what I mean. It could start with a 1, and then there'll be 3 numbers, and it will end with a 3. This is the smallest first and last numbers that it could be. Equally, it could start with a 1 and end in a 5. Now that we've exhausted all of the 1 options, we need to move on to the 2s. So it could start with a 2 and end in a 1, or it could start with a 2 and end in a 3, or it could start with a 2 and end in a 5. Now that we've exhausted all of the 2s, we're going to move on to the 3s. It could start with a 3 and end in a 1, or it could start with a 3 and end in a 5. So altogether there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different ways that we could start and end these numbers. The 3 numbers in between could be in any order whatsoever, because there's no restrictions on the middle 3 numbers. So for every single one of these 7 different options, there are 3 factorial ways of choosing the middle 3, because there are 3 options for choosing the first space, 2 options for the second space, and 1 for the third. And we know that's 3 times 2 times 1, which is 3 factorial. So our answer will be 7, because there are 7 different ways we can write the first and last number, multiplied by 3 factorial, the number of ways that we can fill in the middle 3. And so that's 7 times 6, which is 42. So our answer is 42 different ways. Finally, let's look at a question which involves no perms or coms, as we call it in short language. How many numbers between 0 to 200 have a 3 in it? So this could be 1 3, or it could be 2 3s, or it could be 3 3s, whatever. Let's find out. Now, you could just list them with your fingers, but that'll take ages. What you want to do is take a systematic approach. And what we're going to do is we're going to split 0 to 200 into tens. So we'll have 0 to 9, that's 10 numbers. Then we'll have 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and so on, until we get to 180 to 189, and then 190 to 199, and then there's also 200 at the end. There will be 20 lots of 10 between 0 to 200, because 200 divided by 10 is 20. So we know there are going to be 20 lots. Now, in every single lot of 10, there will be one number with a 3 in it. So for example, between 0 to 9, there'll be 3. Between 10 to 19, there's 13. Between 20 and 29, there's 23, and so on. So we know that there'll be 1 3 at least in each of these tens. So we already know that there are going to be 23s. So we can note that down. We know that there are 20. But we've missed out a few of them. And the few that we're missing are here, between 30 and 39, because all of these have a 3 in them. And also 130 to 139. These will also all have a 3 in them. So we need to account for all the 3s we've missed out. We've already accounted for one of the 3s in each of these within our original 20. So that means there'll be 9 numbers left over in each of these boxes with a 3 in it. So there'll be 9 over here, and there'll be 9 over here. You can try this out just to check. So we know that there are 2 lots of 9 which are remaining. So we have 20 plus 2 lots of 9. Now we have exhausted all the numbers with a 3 in. So our final answer is 20 plus 18, which is 38. And that is our final answer. So that's it for counting. We can see this is a very broad topic with lots of different questions which require lots of different approaches. So long as you're organised and you keep track of what you're doing, you'll have no problem whatsoever. That's it for this topic, and that's it from me. Goodbye.